Hello, barbecue troopers. Welcome to the Starving Pig Barbecue. Today's cook, the Tomahawk Steak. Now, throughout this cook, I'll be giving you all some fun facts about the Tomahawk Steak. So, I'm going to get set up and I'm going to bring you all right back. All right, barbecue troopers. Now that we got our Tomahawk Steak on the cutting board, we're going to trim this bone up a little bit. As you can see, the butcher did a really good job cutting this for me. He cut it right on the spot when I asked him for one. I'm going to try next time I do one of these. I'm going to try to record the whole process at the butcher shop. It took him no time to do it. But as you can see, beautiful piece of meat here. This is 4 pounds coming in from the end of the bone to the tip of the tomahawk, coming in at 17.5 inches. Also, this thing is weighing 4 pounds, guys. 4 pounds. This thing is a beast. It's a beast. 4 pounds of meat here. Just the bone alone, from tip to the beginning of the meat, 8.5 inches. So this is gonna be fun. Also, by the way, this is my first video. I hope I do a good job. I ain't figured out camera angles and stuff like that yet, but we're gonna make it happen, so bear with me. So, I'm gonna get started. I wanted to keep this real simple. I was just gonna use just some salt and pepper, but I decided it needs a little bit more of a kick. Yeah, I know I'm a big fan of Texas Trinity, made by my brother down there in Texas, Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. But I said, it still needs something else. And the Texas Trinity, I really wanted to use that, but I felt like I was still going to be keeping it simple, but keeping it too simple. And I thought about using another friend of mine down there in Texas, Uncle Steve Shake. I was going to use his competition shake powder or competition cow powder. And I think these days he's calling it competition cow shake. I was going to use that, but then I wasn't going to get the heat that I wanted. And I don't mean heat by necessarily something, using something like a cayenne pepper or something like that. I just wanted to bring the spice level up a little bit. So after some debating with myself, and actually I thought about using Uncle Steve's competition cow powder in conjunction with his Texas Red, or using the Texas Red along with Rick's Texas Trinity. So after going through all that, I decided I was going to go with the Badia Steak Seasoning Canadian Blend. And that gives me the spice that I want, and a little bit of kick and flavor that I'm anticipating and getting out of this. I'm hoping that once I put this stuff on here, let it sit for about roughly 30-40 minutes, it can penetrate down into this thing. The preparation is going to be a reverse sear. The reverse sear is a process of bringing a piece of meat up to the desired temperature that you want at a low temperature. Most steakhouses, when you go and order a steak, they do a hot and fast sear, which is usually running between 450 degrees, some places 500 degrees. And when they do that, they're usually taking it up to a rare temperature, and they'll hold the steaks. And for somebody like me who likes a medium well, they would take one of those seared steaks, and then proceed to take that steak up to my desired temperature, usually by throwing it back into a hot pan, or they'll put it in an oven and bring it up to the desired temperature that you're looking for. With the reverse sear, like I said, you're going to be bringing your steak up to the desired temperature that you want at a low heat. And also incorporating some wood chunks, something like hickory or oak, pairs good with steak. Man, this thing is so beautiful, so beautiful. And usually you'll bring it up to about 120 degrees. Usually running what we're going to be using is our char griller Acorn. So we're going to run that at about 250 degrees to bring this up to temperature. We're going to be shooting for about 125. This thing is pretty thick. To make sure that it is done, I am probably going to run the internal temperature up to about 140. And then hopefully we get some carryover temperature when we let it rest. That'll bring it up to 145. If you're sharing this big thing, the outside parts will for sure be at about 130, 135 for those who like that medium rare. I'm more towards a medium well type of person, so. But the butcher did a good job. I should have had him clean this up a little bit more, but hey, I could do this myself. Got my Cast King fillet knife here. They did a pretty good job Frenching it up. When you talk about Frenching a bone, which is, most people know that phrase more in doing a rack of lamb. Frenching just means trimming. The trimming of the bone, taking some of this extra stuff off of here, and it just gives a clean presentation. And while we're doing that, when it gets on the smoker, to help keep a good presentation, if the bone decides to get too dark, we'll wrap it in foil to make sure it looks good. As you can see, I'm struggling just a little bit there. There's a notch right here in the bone. And I'm excited, guys. This is my first YouTube video. It's a little nerve-wracking talking to yourself. Overall, pretty good public speaker. But just to sit and have a conversation with yourself, it's a little weird. A little weird. I'm going to try to work and do this thing some justice here. Man, she is heavy. Like I said, gang, 4 pounds, 17.5 inches long overall. The bone is 8.5 inches. Now, to be considered a tomahawk steak, the bone has to be 4 inches long. So if I decide to get another one, which I'm sure I will, I'm going to have him cut the bone to where the handle is about 4 inches, maybe 4.5. And the reason I say that, for me, my cutting board is spinning. The reason I say that for me is because on the acorn, we're working with about a 22. I've never measured it. They call it a 22-inch grill. But I want to make sure that I have the main part of this steak directly in the middle of the grill. So the overall length of the steak needs to be about 12 inches to make sure we're centered in the middle of the grill. A little fun fact about the tomahawk steak. Tomahawk steaks come from, I'm making a mess, come from this between the 6th and the 12th rib, which are the longest ribs on the cow. So from the 6th and 12th rib, and cut from the loin. So you can get a total of 12 of these out of a cow. You have 2 loins, one on either side of the cow. And don't confuse the loin with the tenderloin. You have two loins and 1 tenderloin. Just like most parts in every animal, there's 2 of everything, minus, of course, the head, the heart, the tenderloin. So don't get confused with tenderloin and the loin. 2 loins, 1 tenderloin. I know, I shouldn't be cutting towards myself. I know. And as you can see, why they call this a tomahawk steak, you got a handle, and then you got this piece here, which is basically shaped like a tomahawk. And going back to the tomahawk coming from the longest part, or coming from the longest ribs. Comes from the longissimus dorsi, Latin for the longest one, meaning for this application, the longest ribs. I'm excited about this. My first YouTube video, and I decided to swing for the fences. So I said, what better way than to do a tomahawk steak? Funny thing about this tomahawk steak though, I was supposed to do this for Valentine's Day, but life gets in the way, and this was supposed to have been done as a collaboration with my sister over there at Call It Having Fun. Make sure y'all go and check out our channel, subscribe, and like our channel. We're actually working on getting her to 300 subscribers, and we got something planned along with some other YouTube cookers or YouTube cooks. So make sure y'all subscribe to our channel. We got something big planned. Should be fun. So let's work on getting her to 300 subscribers, and once that happens, that's gonna be fun. And so this was supposed to have been a Valentine's Day collaboration with her and I. Like I said, life gets in the way. I actually went and got a tomahawk steak, and I went to the place that I got this one from, and I went on a Monday to go pick it up, and they were closed. And come to find out, a lot of the butcher shops in my area are closed on Mondays. I didn't know that. So I had to rush back home. I did some Googling, and got on Instacart, found a place that was carrying tomahawk steaks. Some of my fellow YouTubers, they got to see that tomahawk steak, and they're probably going to see this and like, hey, that's not the same steak that you showed us. And guess what? It's not. The first one I got actually only came in at 2 pounds, and was probably maybe 1 3/4 thick. For the price I paid, I expected more of it, or more from it, I should say. See, right here. Y'all see I keep messing with this spot here. This is from the bandsaw, from the cut at the butcher shop. But so I did that tomahawk steak. I didn't record it. like I said, it was supposed to have been for Valentine's Day, and it was supposed to have been more about Valentine's Day, even though it's supposed to have been my first YouTube video also. So I needed to get that tomahawk steak cooked, and I'm glad I decided to go back and say, hey, let's get another tomahawk. Let's go back to the original butcher shop that we had plans on buying one from. And so I go back and I got this beautiful thing here. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you should be familiar with Eastern Market. You go to Eastern Market, go to Canales, the Canales meat market stand. I know, guys, I know I'm cutting towards myself. I'm okay, don't worry. Go to the Canales meat market stand inside Eastern Market. And get yourself one of these. It's not laid out in a display case like I thought it was going to be, because I thought when I first went back in, I think it was December or January, I thought I saw it there. At Eastern Market, there's more than one butcher shop inside of Eastern Market. So when I went to Canales, I was looking. I thought I saw tomahawks here. So I talked to Canales. He goes by Canales. I talked to him. He said, "Yeah, I have them. I can cut it for you right now." So you know, he gets on the bandsaw and whatever else he did. I couldn't see all the behind the scenes on how this was done. I got to see some of it, which was cool. And, you know, like I said, he cut it there on the spot for me. And so, came home with this behemoth here. So, sometimes I try to do things at my pace. I knew that, I knew in December I wanted to do one of these for Valentine's Day. And I knew I wanted to shoot it as my first video. First video, why not swing for the fences with it, you know. I probably could have did something, I don't know, duck breast or something, but no, I want to do something big for my first video. So here we are. Alright guys, almost got it cleaned up here. And don't worry, you don't have to get all of it off. It's going in the cooker, so it's gonna cook. Some of this stuff will break down. If you're like some people I know, you like all that gristly stuff and whatever it's called. So, but I want to clean this up for presentation purposes. You know, like I said earlier, if it starts to get too dark from the smoking process, we're going to wrap it in foil. And then by wrapping it in that foil, we'll produce an even higher temperature to help make sure whatever is on this bone is cooked. So, you know. And to the barbecue family, guys, I told you I was coming with a video. I love my barbecue family. They've been very receptive to me and allowing me in their circle, giving me education. You know, a lot of stuff people want to charge you for. And that's the good thing about YouTube. People put stuff out on YouTube. They want to share and educate. So I guess we're here doing the same thing. So I got a couple more cooks lined up. I got another collaboration. Oh, wow. Speaking of that collaboration, it's going to be a huge, huge collaboration. I didn't even plan on talking about this, so I don't have everybody's names right now with me. But just continue to follow me, and you'll get those other YouTube channel names. It's going to be a brisket collab. So I think there's about roughly 10 of us doing a brisket collab. Those videos, I believe, are supposed to drop on March 28th. Just some of the channels I could think of off the top of my head. You got my brother Lance from Sleeper Barbecue. Lance is out here nearby. Lance is probably 45 minutes to an hour away from me. Make sure you all go to his channel, Sleeper Barbecue. He's an up-and-coming YouTuber, and he's doing some great things on there. So make sure you go check out his channel, Sleeper Barbecue. My boy Lance. You got my man George from 805 Barbecue Junkie. Also in that brisket collab. That dude's a beast. I like his style of cooking. He brings some Hispanic flair to barbecue. I really love it because I don't want to be pigeonholed. Is that the right phrase? Pigeonholed? When it comes to barbecue, I like to play around. Come with some different flavors, you know. So I'm really digging him. I brought up Rick from Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. He's gonna be in it. Make sure y'all go check out Rick at Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. reach out to Rick. Make sure you get some of his Texas Trinity. That is one of my main go-tos. I buy that stuff. Always mess with Rick. I buy it by the kilos. No joke. I buy it by the kilos. Got the black trucks and the helicopters circling. So make sure you go check him out. Make sure you get with him to get some of that Texas Trinity. He also has his beef hog, which I enjoy. And he has a new chicken seasoning called Freebird. I've only gotten to play around with it just a couple of times. Who else is in that challenge? It's not a challenge. I'm sorry. In that collaboration, the big homie Kent from Daddy Dutch Barbecue. He's gonna be also included in that collaboration. He'll be involved. It's a list. It's a list, guys. It's a list. My man John. Make sure y'all check out John over there at Salt, Pepper, and Fire. I believe between him and Lance, I believe they organized it. I'm not exactly sure who organized it, but go check out John over at Salt, Pepper, and Fire. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. John is doing some good cooks over there, and most of these guys that I'm mentioning are up and coming YouTubers. They're young channels, 500 subscribers or less. Except for Rick, except for Kent, you know. They've been around for a while. You know, growing a channel, you know, get in where you can fit in. All right, guys. So I got the bone cleaned up pretty decent, I think. You know, first time. So if y'all noticed something I could have did differently with it, let me know in the comments. Got that done. All right. Let me clean my hands real quick. And what's crazy, I laid out 6 pairs of gloves, and I didn't put them on. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to get started with the seasoning here. So what we're going to do here, we're going to use a binder. And we're going to use this red wine vinegar here. It's going to probably give a little bit of flavor to it, but the main purpose of this is to help our seasoning stick to the meat. So we're just going to sprinkle this on, and I'm going to go on heavy with it. It's fine. Rub it down. I even put a little bit on the bone. Get this rubbed up. It smells pretty good. And you know, red wine pairs pretty good with beef. So make sure you just get your binder rubbed on here. You could use olive oil. You could use mustard. If it's wet coming out the package, you can just season it as is. But red wine pairs really good with beef. I might spritz this while it's cooking with the red wine vinegar, just to make sure that we maintain where I'm sure we don't have to worry about losing any moisture. I just want to make sure that I keep the outsides moist, and also that moisture is going to help attract smoke. So smoke likes to stick to moisture, so that's how we're going to do that. So as it's cooking in the smokers, the surface is going to dry off, and we're going to use some of this red wine vinegar to make sure the surfaces stay wet and attract smoke. All right, so let's go in with our seasoning. This is a big cut of meat, so we don't have to worry about overdoing it too much. Some people might look at this and like, wow, that's a lot, but it's not. During the smoking process, as the fat and stuff starts to render down, a lot of the seasoning is going to come off. And, you know, throughout the cooking process, you can add more seasoning if you want. In fact, let me come from this angle. It's going to be awkward. Make sure y'all see that. Make sure you pat it in. We want to make sure that we cover this up pretty good. It's going to help us build a nice crust once we go to do our reverse sear. We got to make sure we get some on the spinalis for sure. The spinalis is just, you know, the rib cap. Have some fat on it. It's going to melt down real good. That's where the flavor is going to come. It's going to be a lot of flavor on there. There's going to be a lot of flavor. I promise you, barbecue troopers, it's going to be a lot of flavor. And don't rub your rub in. All you're going to do is rub it off. So don't get fooled by seasonings being called rubs. Don't rub it. You want to press it in there. It's going to be a slow process, so the salt that's in the seasoning, it's going to pull moisture out and bring some of these flavors in. Not the big pieces here. They're not going to make it inside. They're too big. But that salt's going to pull some of that liquid back in, so that liquid will have that seasoning on it. Man, this is a big girl. It's a big girl. Speaking of girls, so y'all heard me talk about the spinalis earlier. And some of you might say, the spinalis, I've heard of that. But I thought that only applied to ribeyes or cowboy steaks. So, the tomahawk steak is a ribeye steak. We just have the extra long bone here for the for presentation and shock and awe, the shock value of it all, you know. So if you actually take this bone out of here, you have a ribeye. It's still a bone-in ribeye. You just don't have the handle. And the only difference between the tomahawk, the cowboy steak, and the cowgirl steak is why I said, speaking of girls. So on your cowboy steak, this is going to be gone. It's going to be roughly a 2-inch cut steak, maybe 1 3/4 inches, and it's going to have your spinalis. Our cowgirl steak, same size, but the only thing missing on the cowgirl steak is the spinalis. Now, I didn't make the rules. Don't culture cancel me. I ain't got nothing to do with all that. I didn't come up with these names. So, oh man, guys, I wish y'all could smell this. This stuff, whew, smells great. And I will tell you, on the last one I did, the pipsqueak tomahawk steak I used the Montreal steak seasoning. You can't go wrong with Montreal steak seasoning if you're trying to figure out what you want to use on a steak. You can always run with that, especially if you just don't want to be plain Jane with it, using just salt and pepper, or just salt or just pepper. Use that Montreal steak seasoning, but like I said, I wanted to kick it up a notch this time, so we're back with the Canadian steak seasoning, which I don't know. Montreal is in Canada, right? I guess they could. Well, I guess McCormick might have already had the name coined, so they had to come with, okay, we're just gonna say the whole country, and we're just gonna call it Canadian steak seasoning. But I will tell you this: 2 different flavor profiles. This stuff smells fantastic. Take some of that. So, finish this up, and then we're going to get the acorn started. We're going to set the acorn up for 250 degrees. I'm going to use about a 1/2 pound of charcoal and a 1/2 pound of hickory wood chunks, and let this thing do its thing in the acorn. All right, guys. So I think we're well seasoned. I'm going to let this sit for about 30-40 minutes, and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, barbecue troopers, as you can see, we got the tomahawk on the acorn. We're running at roughly 265 degrees. I might crank the temperature up to about 275. As you can see, it's dark outside now. Kind of got a late start with this cook. I actually started early, but my girlfriend has an eBay store. She was trying to get orders together. I had to stop and help her out with that. We had to pull, I think, 11 or 15 orders for a store and get those shipped out today. So I'm behind, but we're gonna make this happen. And yeah, that's how it's gonna go. And I'm gonna come back probably in an hour and a half, and we're gonna check on the bark of the steak, actually, and come back to see if we need to spritz it. But other than that, we should be okay. It's getting cold out too, so I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time out here. So if need be, I'm gonna bump the temperature up to 275. Like I said, we're rocking at about 260 right now. So I'll bring you guys back in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Welcome back, barbecue troopers. As you can see, we have our tomahawk on the cutting board. Decided to do up some bacon wrapped asparagus to go along with this. We're gonna have some garlic and mashed potatoes also. This was a grueling cook a little bit. The weather dropped down to 30 degrees, so I couldn't actually film the actual sear on the cooker. Just didn't want to stand outside in 30-degree weather with the camera and stuff, and I just really wanted to get it done. And you know, like I said, it was 30 degrees outside. It was cold, so we're gonna clear this off, and we're gonna get into cutting this tomahawk. Oh, by the way, the bacon wrapped asparagus, I just rubbed them down with some olive oil and seasoned them up with some Uncle Steve's smoke bomb, and then just wrapped it with this is applewood bacon, and put these on the smoker. They should be tasty. I like bacon wrapped asparagus. So we're gonna cut this up. As you can see, it's ready to fall off the bone here. Hey, let's just do it. Let's cut it. So we took the internal temperature up to the 145 mark. That's some good fat there. That's the bone there. So you can actually take your knife and go in between the bone and come around if you want to do that. As you can see, it's already just falling off anyway. Let's see what that side looks like. She's juicy. Got some nice fat on it. I don't do too much fat that people do. I want to try to avoid this bone. Yep, so I'm going to have to take it off the bone. I just got to find out how we're going to get in between it. You know, you gotta, you have a handle. You could just pick it up and eat it caveman style. But I guess that wouldn't make us civilized. So this bone goes all the way up and comes down this way. So just pull it back and just work your knife in between it. Just like that. Come back on the other side, just follow the little seam here. That bone will make somebody's dog happy. There we go. Just separate it off the bone just like that. And there we go. Pretty sure I can use my imagination, or you can use your imagination and find something to do with that. We got a nice little crust. That's the spinalis here. Make sure you're cutting against the grain. So that's perfect for me. Still juicy. And you know, from the outside to be darker. As we get towards the middle, it should lighten up. Sure you can see the juices. There we go. I'm gonna taste this piece here. Man, look at that. Look at that. Nice bite. That's pretty good. The that Canadian steak seasoning we put on definitely gave me the pop I wanted as far as flavor. I'm glad I decided to use that. So I'm going to get this cut up. This was interesting, being my first cooking on video, talking to myself, and going in and outside, back and forth, and trying to shoot a video is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I take my hat off to all YouTubers for being brave enough to, you know, film their stuff and bring people into your life and your craft, whatever it is that you shoot for YouTube. A little bit nerve-wracking, actually, but as I go through and start doing these videos more, I'm sure I'll get more comfortable, and you know, as I go along and network with other YouTubers, I'm sure they're gonna help me get through the process. I want that piece. I want this whole piece right here. I want that whole thing. So there we have it, y'all. Like I said, we're gonna pair this up with some garlic mashed potatoes, bacon wrapped asparagus. I wanted to make a chimichurri. I went and bought everything for it, but just pressed for time and the weather. But it's all right. I have all the stuff to make it, so that can be my next video along with something else. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna clean all this stuff up. Once again, this was real good. That Canadian seasoning, like I said, really gave me what I wanted. Some good crust. And you know, it's your steak. You can cook it to whatever temperature you want. This is perfect for me. You know, some people like theirs bleeding, but this was 4 pounds of meat, and it was 3.5 inches thick. I wanted to make sure it was cooked through, so I feel like I accomplished that. I'm happy with the taste. And all right, guys, I'll be right back. Okay, barbecue troopers, it's time for the closeout of this video. We're gonna do a quick recap. So we got our tomahawk steak. We applied our red wine vinegar as a binder. Then we put on our Canadian steak seasoning. Got it out to the smoker. We used the char griller acorn with smoke deflector, or heat deflector, I should say. We ran that steak at, what did we do? We went 250 to 267 was the temperature swings on there. So for the acorn, that's pretty good in my book. We did that for an hour. Took the tomahawk off, let it rest while we bumped the temperature up to 300 degrees. Did a spritz with the red wine vinegar. Put it back on the acorn. Let it go for another hour and a half, I believe it was. Once we got it up to 127, we pulled it at 127, spritzed it again, then we bumped our temperature up to 425, removing the heat deflector out of the acorn, put the steak back on, and then we seared that off to 145, 147 degrees, and brought it in. We let that rest for about 30 minutes, and then we trimmed it up, and came out to be pretty good. I'm impressed. I hope y'all liked it. Give it a try. Find something to do with your bone. You just use your imagination with that. I'm going to give mine to CJ over at Mama and Papa Joe's. I'm going to give mine to his dog, since his dog name is Trooper, and I'm calling y'all barbecue troopers. So, oh, and speaking of CJ, make sure y'all go over to Mama and Papa Joe's. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. CJ and his wife Alicia, they won Reserve Grand Champion over the weekend down at the Houston Livestock and Rodeo. I think the number, don't quote me on this, I think the number was out of 800 teams. That's very impressive. So make sure y'all go and give him a congratulations, him and his wife. That's a team. So I know a lot of people say CJ, but that's a team. So Mama and Papa Joe's, go over there to their YouTube channel. So guys, we're gonna bring this to an end. I'm excited to get this first video jitter off me. So I'm expecting great things. And guys, my name is, well, that doesn't matter right now, but I go by the call sign Starving Pig 8. Your call sign is going to be Starving Pig 3. So, Smoke Team 3 will be your call sign. So if you need help with anything, you just get up on the radio and you hit me on my call sign, and I'll be there to help you out. If you do know my name, trust me, you don't know it anymore. Remember when I waved that tomahawk across the front of the screen at the beginning of the video? That was an MIB mind wipe. So, so guys, we're gonna bring it to an end. I have fun, and I'll see you all when the smoke clears.